All right, just checking that we're going live here, guys. Welcome to all those that are viewing. We'll hang around here for 10 or 20 seconds and just let a few more people jump in. See if we can beat our record of 4. I'm out and about this week, so I'm got the mobile set up. First time using it out and about, so hopefully you're hearing this loud and clear. And as always, I'll do my best to get it up on YouTube today or tonight or in the coming days. But I will jump into it today. So I hope you've all had a great week. I hope you got to see the footy grand final on the weekend. If any of you guys were interested in the NRL grand final, happy to see Penrith win over the Storm. But that's my personal opinion. I hope your team did well for you guys this year. Look, something I wanted to talk about, and we've just sort of grazed over it in recent weeks, and that's been scope tube size, or your optics tube size. That's the main tube. That's the thing that your scope rings clamp to for all those newbies. And once again, I'll frame where we're at with this, where we're coming from. We're really coming from an average shooter, hunter, cull shooter. We're really trying to just arm you with enough information not to be dazzled at the counter, so that you may go in with just enough information to make a good decision for yourself for your next purchase. So I'm going to make sure that we keep it at a level that everyone can understand. And this one's pretty basic this week. Scope tube size, the main tube size is what we're talking about this week, and I should be able to get this done in 15 odd minutes. Stick around. As always, like, subscribe, follow, do all those great things. It really helps us out, and we're trying to give back as much good information as we can. So understanding your optic and what you can, the information you need to make your next purchase, again, coming from a very average user, not at any particular high-end scale of the markets. A couple of myths I want to get out of the way really quickly. One of those myths is there's some people that believe or have been told in the past that a bigger main tube lets more lighting, meaning you can get better night shooting out of it or better low light use out of the product. That's not right. I'll go through what some of the main features are, but let's knock that one on the head. That's not correct. The main tube does not let more lighting. Couple of other myths that we'll just, as I think of them, I've got a couple sitting in the back of my mind there, and we'll just address them as we go through things. To describe the main tube, its main job in your optic is to connect everything together. Really, it's the main thing is to connect all those lenses together and make a complete system. They come in many different shapes and sizes, and we'll rattle a few off, and we'll probably talk about some different sizes as we've done in previous videos, but a 25 millimeter or 1 inch tube diameter are very, very common. It's probably the most common in the market worldwide. You're looking at a 30 millimeter, also very common in the market. 34 millimeters probably the next common, and there's some newer sizes like 35 and 36 millimeters coming to the market. Some have been out for a few years, but I would say they're going to round up the more common. If you go back to some old optics, you'll probably see some old P-cars and things that your grandfather or someone in your family who's done this in the past may talk about 26 millimeter. There was some tubes out of Europe that were a little bit bigger than 1 inch. They can be really hard to find rings for these days. Be aware of that if you're going to, use an optic that someone in the family may have handed down, or you find one at a good price secondhand or something of that nature. So they're the basic sizes. Those basic sizes, how do they affect my next purchase? This is the lens that we keep coming back to. What is this information you've told me? How does it affect me? So right now, if you're an average guy doing those average things we always keep coming back to, you're probably going to say that all round, and each tube will do most of what you need it to do. A good optic on a 25mm tube is great. However, there's some advantages, and I'm going to run through some of those now. Those advantages are like if you go to a 30mm tube, we'll go to the extreme. If we went to an optic with 35 or 36mm tube, I happen to own a couple of those. They're great for long-range shooting. Why are they great for long-range shooting? They're great because they allow the erector system, and we touched on that last week, and it's something we'll probably break down in other videos. The erector system is the tube inside your main tube, and that allows that erector system to travel further up. But essentially, the best way, I'm not trying to be rude or crass here, but essentially, this is the erector system, and this is the main tube. Essentially allows more up and down movement in that. So if I put a larger hole, I now can move more up and down or side to side. So what that's doing for you is that's allowing more travel of that system. And more travel of that system allows more adjustment. So again, if we talk about shooting in past distances of around 600 meters, having more adjustment in the optic is critical. Being able to have a big optic, a big main tube, but potentially a big 56mm lens or 50mm lens, letting a lot of light in, it really is a system that's paired together. So that's the main feature. The other thing that it does, it also enables optics to be more compact and still give a large range of movement with that large adjustment range in that erector system. So small, you think about if you had a 1-inch main tube with a 56mm objective, and you can find them out there, they look a little bit awkward and unbalanced, and quite often due to the way the optic has got to be constructed, what you tend to find is the erector system and inside has to be a bit longer, particularly if it's a higher magnification. So the overall optic becomes a bit longer. They're really a couple of things that I see as the main things for the average punter at the counter. So again, I wind the clock back to, well, how does that affect me? Quite often you're going to find these days that, say, 30mm main tube optics are a really nice balance between adjustment, size, and quite often glass clarity. A lot of manufacturers make their better range of products, including Outback Optics. We make our better product. We have our better product made on a 30mm main tube. It allows a nicer balance of size, adjustability in the erector system, so better for you to have more options shooting further out. So 30mm is quite common these days. It's probably what I would recommend overall. And again, winding it back to what I just said, you often find most manufacturers are probably offering their better optic on a 30mm or bigger main tube. So 25mm main tube, it's not that you can't get great glass quality on a 25mm main tube. It's just, I think in the modern era, 30mm can often future-proof your setup. Some of the things you may need to think about when buying a new optic, and particularly, say, upgrading to a 30mm, is cost of rings. How are you going to secure that to the firearm? If you've got some European brands that use their own custom mounting systems, or that could be 200, 300, 400 or upwards to change the main tube size of your optic. You may not be able to get mounts for that particular bang stick that you're using. It may be an older one that is difficult to find mounts for. So these days, 30mm are very easy to find in what we call a Weaver style or a Picatinny style ring. So is 1 inch and those other larger sizes we talked about. But considering the ring purchase that you may need to look at when you're looking to change your optic, it'll be critical because it could put your budget. You may be looking at a 30mm optic, 30mm main tube optic, and you look at setting rings up for your particular bang stick, and it adds $200 or $300 to the price. That may then go, well, hey, I was only looking to spend $600 in total, and that now puts me out of that market for that optics. Keep that in the back of your mind, because you will find it can be a limiting factor to your choice. You may have to stick with the size that you already have, unless, of course, you've got an old 20mm main tube. Some 1970s, around that time, there were still some Tascos and a few other brands that were making a really small optic. They're no longer made. You can get reproductions of them from time to time if you're looking to try and keep a period piece bang stick. But overall, the common ones are going to be the 25mm, 30mm, 34, 35, 36 millimeter, and there's even some 40s coming. So I will say there's not a lot to this one. The big myth I wanted to bust is the fact that it does not let, the main tube size does not let more light, it has any bearing on light. It has bearing on construction and the way that the amount of adjustment the erector system could possibly have internally. And anyone who says different probably just needs to have a look at an exploded diagram of an optic to find out that that's the case, because as we spoke about the other day, there is some other factors like exit pupil to take into account when you're looking at light paths. There's some more technical things like the optics triangle, which weighs up the 3 key points that you need to manage when building an optic. And we'll touch on that in later videos when we get a little bit more technical. But for this video and this piece, I just wanted to keep it nice and short because it's an easy one to do when I'm out and about traveling. To keep it simple for an average person doing average job, a nice quality 1-inch or 25mm main tube optic will do great. You partner that with our previous videos about objective size, you'll find something that'll suit you, fit for purpose. And I say again, fit for purpose, because that's the number one thing that we touch on each week. Just because I recommend or bust some myths about a particular optic or a size or a shape, it does not mean it's necessarily for purpose for you, because you may be a long-range competition shooter, or you may be the complete opposite. You may be someone shooting targets or steel plates or paper at 10 yards, and there's a whole bunch of different things that apply to you and not to the average person. But the average person, once again, 25mm optic, great value for money generally. You can get a range of products from very high-end European brands still offer that. Good value for money products like Outback optics still offer 25 and 30mm options. And again, consider those rings when you're looking at making an optic purchase. Take into consideration you will need to allow some money potentially, and that could, depending on how you want to set that up, that could add $300, $400, $500 to the price depending on your particular optic. It might add none. It might add $100. Go and see your local supplier and talk to them about Outback Optics. Don't have much all this week. I don't think, drop a comment if there's something that I've missed here tonight. I just check Facebook before I go anywhere. What do we got? We got any comments? We got the old mate Steelo from Western Australia. Good on you. Thanks, Steelo, for checking in. Guys, I appreciate you supporting the channel. I appreciate you supporting Outback Optics, the Outback Lens podcast. We hope to continue to grow this. One other final before I sign off will be, just remember, 2 feet for a heartbeat walk. It's a national walk for kids and families with congenital heart disease. There's 30 or 40 walks around Australia, country and city. If you've got the time, I know Bathurst is this weekend. I'll try and do both, trust me. But again, go and support that. At least have a look at Heart Kids' website or 2 feet for a heartbeat .org. It's a great opportunity to get involved and get a few miles on the old joggers. JD, signing off. Stay focused.